Well, hello, everybody. Welcome in. Glad you're with us here on a Monday. Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. If you are still in bed because it's dark outside, too bad. You should have flipped your clock yesterday.
It is daylight savings time, one of the most useless things that there is in American society, especially for somebody like me in the weekend that I have had without a whole lot of sleep, busy all the time, and you lose an hour of sleep for absolutely no reason. Then, I don't know, somebody thought it was a good idea 100 years ago.
Hopefully, we're going to get that changed, Barry. Hopefully, I know it's not the most important thing that we got to deal with, but I sure would like to just one time all year.
I believe we're going to probably address that with the United States Senator sometime this week. That may be my number one question. Can we get rid of daylight savings time? Although we'll have several. That's coming up a little bit later on in the week. Not today. Today is Monday, and we're talking a lot of basketball. He is in the network studio. He is his studio. He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight, in a hotel in Pensacola Beach, Florida, right now.
Nice.
Probably about the 20th different venue I've been in to do this show since we've been on the air since August of last year. Mm-hmm. The Sun Belt Conference Men's Basketball Championship is tonight, and Troy is in it. Trojans win 2 games in the tournament. They beat Old Dominion on Saturday. They had a 79-60 win over James Madison last night. Got in late last night, got ready for the game today, which is Troy versus Arkansas State for the Sun Belt Conference Tournament Championship and an NCAA tournament berth. That's at 6 o'clock tonight, and it is on ESPN2 if you want to check it out. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Trojans are playing well. 22 wins. But they open up as a slight underdog against Arkansas State.
Well, we can maybe get into that a little bit later on today. I don't know if that's the Phantom's Daily Dog. Obviously, a win gets you into the NCAA tournament. Just kind of curious. For 2 questions. What time's the tip again?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. Okay. So I'll have to go get my YouTube TV on my phone and listen to you in my driveway.
Nice. There you go.
Radio,
he's done that before.
Yeah. I honk the horn and go, honey, I need a refill.
Yep.
That doesn't go over real well, I can promise you.
Get you one. You got legs.
Yeah, true. Just curious, if Troy does win, any idea where they might go to play in the
there's
too early?
There's really not. There's of course you look at the spots for the first round games. Lexington makes sense. Raleigh, North Carolina makes sense. Gosh, if I was to guess, those would be the 2 that I would think of right now. Troy's been in the tournament before. They played in Nashville before. They played in Greenville, South Carolina before. I personally wouldn't mind getting out and going somewhere. Don't stick me in Cleveland.
Ooh.
Denver's okay. Wichita's okay. Milwaukee's fine. Providence, Rhode Island. But Cleveland, I don't know.
You go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame if you end up there in Cleveland. All right, so a lot to talk about today. Before we get to the chat room, no, Robbie from Greenville is not on it yet, which kind of surprised me, but Bob from Pike Road, Chris the Bammer. Is Danny from Margaritaville coming back today?
Yep.
Could be. We'll see.
The Alabama Crimson Tide beats Auburn 93-91 in overtime. Good to see Bob from Pike Road in this. We had not heard from him much, if at all, after the Alabama football team lost to Michigan in the bowl game. I didn't hear a lot from him, and he's on today not talking a whole lot of basketball. He's talking a lot about Auburn the SEC should be suspended a minimum, should suspend Chad Baker-Mazzara a minimum of 1 game. And because it's a multiple-time offender, 2 games probably should be in order. The SEC should fine Auburn for fans throwing items at Bama players celebrating the victory, shameful behavior, It's interesting that that's what draws him out more than anything else. Because the basketball game itself, if you want to talk about the game, that was a phenomenal game. Oh, my gosh.
I'm with you there. Yeah, first and foremost. And then the other aspects of it, I'm sure we'll get to. But the most important, I said that multiple times as the game is playing out. I said, man, this is a really good game. Got two of the young bucks there watching it with me, and they're all into it. Even the little lady popped in a little bit. I said, I'll tell you, this is a damn good game.
Yep.
I'm gonna tell you, I don't know who's going to win it, but it is a really good game. It's physical. It's well played. You can tell these guys are laying it on the line.
Which was, hey, credit to Alabama. If there's one takeaway about that game more than anything else, it's that, if this Alabama team plays with heart and discipline, and they're capable, boy, they can beat anybody. We've seen games where it hasn't necessarily looked that way. The Florida game a week ago, they were in a hostile environment. I love John Dent. He says, Sears closes in Auburn. RDT, how about the Tide, John? He says, this is what I love. BM, of course, you can chime in as you may. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. I have clearance from John to actually conduct the show. Thank you for granting me that particular blessing, John.
Was that BM or PM that can contribute? Well,
I was going to ask you about that, whether I should read Philip Marshall or whether, it's already, this one really doesn't mean anything in the great grand scheme of things. They're bigger fish to fry or anything. And that kind of that kind of undersells the game. Of course, Auburn fans wanted to win the game. It's the rivalry game and everything. But
Senior
at the very end of it all, that was a terrific college basketball team. These two teams have the wherewithal to make a huge impact in the NCAA tournament. Now that the regular season's over, John, here we go. We'll see. The SEC tournament is next. I've never looked forward to a postseason in just the totality of the state of Alabama. Troy has a chance. Auburn and Alabama, more than I have right now. This is
man, I saw a clip somewhere of how many teams in the state of Alabama have 20 or more wins.
It's a bunch.
I mean, it's amazing how many college teams in this state are 20 plus in the win column this year. But the refs had to go to the monitor a couple of more times than I would have liked to have seen them do it. They've got to find a way to cut down on that. Call the dadgum game. There's a human element involved in it. Just do it. But I thought the game as a whole was really good. One of the best I've seen all year. There again, you could tell both these teams were laying it all on the line. I mean, Auburn already won the regular season championship, but you wouldn't have known it. I mean, the way they were playing. And, of course, Alabama looking to get the win after Auburn had won at Coleman about 3 weeks earlier. Thought it was good. And, there again, in terms of fouls called, I mean, it was about the way I like it. They weren't calling a lot of ticky-tack stuff as we read and heard about if you went back and listened to some of the play-by-play of the game. But, I mean, it was a great game. But, of course, Barry, in saying all that, I have got a lengthy list, a notepad full of many, many pages of notes that I took, similar to football.
Yeah.
I jotted down while the game was being played. There's some pros and there's some cons.
Well, we had questioned Grant Nelson. Thought he had regressed. I still think he's not as good as he was last year, much less, improved or anything. But he had 23 against Auburn the other night, 8 rebounds. Janai Broome was a man, 34 points, big shot after big shot, particularly late in the game, 34 points, 19 for Tahad Pettiford, a freshman guard who balled out in the game. Good day for Clifford Amoye for Alabama. Incredibly selfish, dumb, not all the worst adjectives, but some pretty strong adjectives for Chad Baker-Mazara. That maybe is what cost Auburn the game. If you want to simplify it, just Chad Baker-Mazara doing something undisciplined and silly and selfish and all that. to get thrown out of the game.
Now I got to tell you, Barry,
that's inexcusable.
You know, if there were some elbows to the rib or whatever allegedly happened before the forearm to the back of Youngblood's head, if that was going on, I'm watching the ball move. I'm not really watching what other guys are doing off the ball. And if there's some pushing and shoving and jabbing and needling, which, maybe I did that back in my day a time or two. Maybe so, but I'm told that's what, got that going, that a retaliation move. There again, if it happened, I didn't see it, but I'm reading and hearing that was one of the reasons why he retaliated was because of some shots that he was taking up earlier in the game. But you're right. I mean, they're kind of looking out, got a reputation, got caught. I think the interesting thing about it, Barry, Youngblood hits the floor, and then the refs go, what happened? And then there again, they got to go look at the monitor to figure out what happened. Because I'm not sure.
If they had replay back in Church League, John, you would have been toast.
Banned from the league. Probably banned from the league.
But I don't care. I don't want to hear the excuses. I don't want to hear the rationalizations. They elbowed me. They started it. It sounds like brother versus brother, wrestling in the living room. You're a grown man. You got to let that go. You've got to play on. There's mental toughness involved in all of that. So yeah.
So
that did not need to happen. Now I don't know about suspended 2 games, blah blah blah. That's those things do happen. We had that happen in the Troy game last night. There was another game that happens. Those things, they handled it well, but I think it was a dumb thing to do. I think it cost Auburn the game, and that should be punishment enough.
Well, I will say this about Grant Nelson. Barry, in our years and years together analyzing teams and players, we have used tough love for both teams and or players.
Yeah.
Some people didn't really like it. Hey, man, you're a little tough on that team, or man, you're a little opinionated about that player, but it's all
didn't
tough
really
love.
Want to do it. Felt we owed it to them.
We owed it to him. And, Grant Nelson over the last couple of weeks has caught some heat for me in particularly. And on Saturday, I think he looked as close to he looked last season in his prime that he's looked all year.
Yeah.
Now, can he keep it going? That's a big question. I've heard a lot of people say that. Can he maintain this throughout the tournament? He's going to need to. But he was a lot more physical, hit some threes, which he'd been pretty cold from beyond the arc. But he played his best game, no doubt, and it was a big factor in Alabama winning. Turnovers, Barry, 15 of them. Still turning the ball over. That led to 20 Auburn points.
Too much.
Rebounding, it was like night and day. Offensive rebounds. 5 in the first half, 0 in the second, 5 in overtime. That was key. 5 offensive rebounds in overtime was huge. Obviously, you mentioned Broome for Auburn, best player in college basketball. There's no doubt about it. He can hit some key threes for a big man. We've talked about Chad Baker-Mazara. I don't know how they're going to reel that guy in. And I think another thing that was kind of missed, Chaney Johnson, a guy for Auburn that had been playing okay, was just non-existent on Saturday. And you lose Baker-Mazara. Johnson's not even a factor, basically, in the game. I think if he'd have stepped up, maybe that could have helped Auburn as well.
Yep. And he's done it before. Chaney Johnson was terrific when Broome was hurt, particularly in the Vanderbilt game. He had that wherewithal, but I don't know. He was, Chris Moore, who wasn't really a factor at all other than him. Chaney Johnson had the lowest rating, the lowest plus minus for Auburn at -6. I think you're right. He had the opportunity. I mean, his lack of production wasn't the reason they lost, but it sure could have helped be the reason why why they would have won it, and he just did not do it. So what does it mean in the great grand scheme of things? Well, we'll find out. Alabama is in as a number 3 seed in the SEC tournament. First round begins on Wednesday in Nashville with 4 games that begin at noon on Wednesday. South Carolina and Arkansas. Second round Thursday. The quarterfinals are Friday. Auburn opens the quarterfinal round as the number 1 seed at noon on Wednesday. I kind of would have thought the number 1 seed would have been, at prime time, but that's not the case.
Well, I just throw this out. If Kentucky was the number 1 seed, do you think they'd be playing at 12 noon? Just saying.
They would be. That's just the way the bracket is. But Alabama will open as a 3 seed. They'll play 8:30 in the Friday game.
It's got 9:15 written all over.
Well, yeah. The 4th game of the day, there's 4 games Wednesday, 4 games Thursday, 4 games in the quarterfinals on Friday. That is that's a given. Those games will back into each other. There will be a backlog, and especially the night games, the 6 o'clock and the 8:30. Ain't no way they're going to start on time.
All right, so we got a lot going on today. I already see on our River Region Straw chat line. What's the email address? You ought to know it by now, folks. Longshore and McKnight. That's A-N-D, Longshore and McKnight at gmail.com. And our Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry email inbox. We got several there we're going to get to.
Yep.
A lot on the chat line. You can get in on that, presented by River Region Straw. Here's what we got going on. As you can imagine, Barry, our super fan, Josh Harris, he's chomping at the bit to get on the air. He'll join us at the top of the next hour from Yellowhammer News. But this is what else we got going on. It's 7:45-ish around there later today, about 45 minutes past the hour. We will review the Florida Gators in our series of win totals in 2025. We're going in alphabetical order. We've already done Alabama, Arkansas, and Auburn. The Gators are today. We'll go over their schedule and their posted win total for the year. The Phantoms Daily Dog, the Victorland 777 topic wheel. A lot to go over today, but we're talking about this big game on Saturday and the big week ahead in Nashville. There's a lot of really good basketball teams in the SEC that are up in Nashville. And, man, if you're heading up there, it's going to be a great week.
Yep. It is that time of year. We love it. Basketball season is upon us. He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Well, the Crimson Tide and the Auburn Tigers are really hot in college basketball, and so are the deals at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Prattville. Alabama and Northwest Florida's largest volume Ram truck dealer is Stivers in Prattville. And at Stivers, they have the largest selection of Ram trucks priced at thousands less than other dealers. How about a 2025 Ram Bighorn 4x4 crew cab with savings of up to $15,000 off sticker price? Also at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, they have fantastic savings on the entire Jeep lineup, like the Wranglers and Jeep Grand Cherokees. Head over to Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram today on Cobbs Ford Road in Prattville, where Price sells cars and trucks.
Introducing Budweiser Zero. 0% alcohol, 0 grams of sugar. Full Budweiser flavor. A refreshing alcohol-free brew that tastes like the real thing. Budweiser Zero. 0 alcohol, 0 compromise.
Local banking expertise, the newest innovations and technology, personal attention, genuine hospitality. It's all just part of the Riverbank and Trust difference. They invite you to experience it for yourself. Welcome to Banking Above and Beyond at Riverbank and Trust. Locations throughout the River region, locations throughout the state of Alabama. River Bank and Trust. All righty, welcome back in, everybody. About 20 minutes past the hour on this Monday. Barry, I know you probably got an appreciation. Well, God, I know you do. Appreciation. As you can imagine, as the game wrapped up on Saturday afternoon, I had to go plug my phone in. I mean, it was ding, 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 ding. I mean, my phone was blowing up.
Huh.
Yeah.
Even was there a championship one on
even
Sunday?
Doc NBA sent me a text right after the game.
What do you mean even Doc NBA? as though that's a surprise. I know it'll surprise you, Barry, but I actually got a text after Alabama's big win over Auburn from Doc NBA. Of course you did.
I can't repeat what he said, but I really enjoyed, and I've said this the second the game was over. I said, I would have loved to have heard the radio call from both Andy and Chris. And lo and behold, it in 30 minutes after that, I'm getting stuff. I'm getting both of them. And it was good. It was enjoyable. It was interesting. And I'm glad I was able to hear it because I did not hear it live.
And I haven't heard it to this moment from either one of those guys. Did it get to you any more quickly than Doc NBA sending you the David Housel clip before the Iron Bowl that year when Housel was the AD? Because that one got on you pretty quick as well.
Yeah,
the urban legend holds.
I'm not even sure the technology of cell phones was there back then when that happened. I think I had to wait
not like
to hear
now.
it a little bit.
You
not
you
like
could
now.
You could have a bag sitting in your passenger seat, and you couldn't like Bluetooth it or anything. You had to hold it to your ear. So I don't think you could share things like that like you can now. And I'm sure there was a lot of sharing going on.
I don't want to spoil it for you. I'm sure you'll maybe hear it later today or whatnot. But it was good, and I'm glad that it was sent to me. Andy was not real happy with Grant Nelson striking the Crimson Crane pose. He was not happy about that at all. I mean, the shot to the back of the head wasn't, that didn't seem to bother him as much, but that was a nice clip as well. But on to that, I mean,
well,
you know me, that's not my deal. I mean, you got to be subtle. I mean, in basketball, it's not about doing something wherever. You got to subtly do stuff that maybe not like a little push to the rib or a little elbow to the rib or a little smack talk, on the free throw line. But when you're posing, and I know it was a great play, but that stuff's uncalled for.
Well, my personal preference, and has John ever gone Chichi Rodriguez after hitting a big putt and put the or faked putting the putter into his scabbard like it was a sword of battle or something? Well, maybe. I wouldn't be surprised.
But that's a good example. No, I don't. But have I walked by my opponent and kind of slightly under my breath go, can you believe that went in? And then those type things.
That's just conversation. That's just friendly conversation.
Mind games.
Now, I will say this. I'm not against that type of thing necessarily. The and all that kind of stuff people do and all of that. And this is not because of any bias positively or negatively. But the Crimson Crane just looks dumb.
How did that originate?
What that wasn't that from Karate Kid?
Yeah, how did it originate? Did John
wasn't
Mechie
it John Mechie? Yeah, John Mechie did it in a game. I'm not sure whether he did it in that overtime 4 overtime catch against Auburn. Well, I think he did do it then, but I don't think it originated then. But 1 foot, 1 leg in the air, and your arms like this. That's not the coolest look out there.
Yeah, and it certainly isn't cool when Bruce Pearl's doing it, which I got the video of him doing.
Yeah, that was not.
That wasn't a good look either. But how did that ever begin? And what does that have to do with Alabama athletics? I've never, Barry, I've asked a lot of questions. What's with the elephant roar? What's with, some of the little pep band tunes?
Dixieland Delight,
I don't get it. And that's another one I just do not get.
The fact that he did it, it doesn't bother me. My gosh, they won a big game. Kids will be kids. Well, young people will be young people. I think Grant Nelson's 23 or 24. Nothing wrong with it. I don't, celebrate. Game's supposed to be fun. But that one just looks silly. I don't love that. Boy, John Dent, my man is thoroughly caffeinated this morning.
Yeah.
Is he already double digits on the
Got
chat?
him, John. Oh, yeah. We're in.
Goodness gracious. John is absolutely absolutely on fire this morning. Big win for Alabama. How big was it? Well, it's against them. The number one thing is it was against Auburn. That was the big deal about the whole thing. Auburn's number one and everything. Auburn will remain number one. The NCAA tournament bids will come out coming up on Sunday. The latest from Jerry Palm, our resident bracketologist here from CBS Sports, was actually yesterday morning. He will update it sometime during the show. He had Alabama as a 2 seed, Auburn a 1 seed, Florida a 1, Houston a 1, and Duke a 1. John, a lot of that, in case, you're just interested in being a 1 seed just as a point of pride or whatever, will largely be determined by the SEC tournament.
I see where Bob from Pike Road's got Duke, Auburn, Houston, and Bama as number 1 seeds. I don't see it. I mean, you win on the road, you beat the number 1 team. That's great. But I still don't think it's going to elevate Alabama to a number 1 seed. I mean, Florida went on the road and beat both Auburn and Alabama.
Yeah, beat Alabama a week ago. There's some recency bias there. If the committee's sitting there looking, and again, it doesn't really matter a ton. A 1 or a 2 seed, Alabama's going to be in good shape. But losing that home game to Florida a week ago, they're going to look at that. They're going to pay attention to that.
Ifs and nuts, candy and butts, whatever. You think Alabama? I don't think if Alabama beats Florida, I'm not sure they beat Auburn and vice versa.
Right.
We talked about the losing streak. I mean, they knew their backs up were against the wall. They were about to lose 3 in a row after the Tennessee loss a week earlier. Yeah. So I think a 2 seed's where they ought to be. I will be, maybe if they go and win the SEC tournament, beat Auburn again, beat Florida, whatever, maybe. But that's the only way I see them getting a 1 seed.
I wouldn't pin all of my hopes and all of my self-worth on that. If they're a 2 seed, so what? I mean, I don't consider it a humiliating kick in the crotch or anything like that. A 2 seed's pretty doggone good. They'll get a good draw and all that. So I guess it's a point of pride.
Are they heading to Cleveland? I mean, you mentioned Cleveland. I'm seeing Bama going to Cleveland.
Yeah, the Jerry has got them going. Jerry Palm's got them going to Lexington. They've got Auburn going to Lexington. So once we get into it, and we'll get into it with our Longshore and McKnight bracket contest, the honest truth is that when you're watching the games, and I'll watch as many of them as I can get my eyeballs in front of it, I will obsess over the tournament. Give me Liberty or give me Robert Morris. Give me Utah Valley and High Point and Virginia Commonwealth and Central Connecticut State. Give me all of those. When it's all over with, even when the day's over with, John, nobody sits there and thinks, man, that game in Cleveland was great. Oh, where's this one? This one's in Providence. You know what I see? And what everybody sees on the TV screen, they see a basketball court.
Yeah.
Buckets on either end, fans in the stands. For us, it really doesn't matter. It really
doesn't.
And really, for the players, it doesn't either. They'll be treated palatial hotel rooms.
Yeah.
Tons of fans. Great television coverage. The whole deal.
Well, you're right.
Really
exactly. It's kind of like, why does Alabama need to build a new arena? I mean, it's great for the players. They're fine with it. It's all about the fans. You got to go to Cleveland. You got to go to Wichita. You got to go wherever your team is scheduled to play in the first round. So, you'll have to make your – and I know because I've already gotten some text about it. Yes, Total Sports Travel will have packages for the NCAA tournament. They just got to find out where your team's going. We'll know that on Sunday. Yep. We'll let you know early Monday where you can go to get your travel arrangements for Auburn, Alabama, whatever school you may be following. Troy, they handle Troy travel as well. So we'll let you know on Monday, as well as you, and Barry mentioned it, the Tournament Bracket Challenge. It begins a week from today. We'd be 30 minutes into it. In a week, the Tournament Bracket Challenge begins Monday the 17th, a week from today, through Thursday the 20th. When the first game tips on the 20th, the contest is closed. You'll go to yellowhammernews.com. That's yellowhammernews.com. On their homepage, there'll be a tab. You'll see it. Click it. Some real quick instructions. Doesn't take a second. You start picking your team, give us your name, some other information, and you will be good to go. You'll be entered into our tournament bracket challenge.
Especially, it won't take you very much at all if you're adept on the computer keyboard like John Dent is. 13 chats in the first half hour.
There you go, John.
Of them.
Bring it.
Yep. He is absolutely ready to go. So are we. Glad to have you along with us here on this Monday.
Let me mention this about the tournament bracket challenge, Barry, because we couldn't do it without these fine sponsors. The Montgomery Regional Airport, getting better the more you use it. Phoenix Physical Therapy, getting you back in the game is what Phoenix Physical Therapy is all about. Our good friends at River Region Straw, premium long needle pine straw for all of your landscaping needs. You can pick it up or they'll spread it and deliver it for you. And, of course, the Destin Connection Seafood Market, the freshest seafood available right here in Montgomery, 3750 Norman Bridge Road, the Destin Connection. Of course, the grand prize winner, a $1,000 travel voucher where you'll be able to fly, well, anywhere you want to. It'll just cost you $1,000 less than it would if you were paying for the whole thing. That, of course, is brought to you by our friends at the Montgomery Regional Airport.
He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Dixie Electric Plumbing and Air rallies for you. No matter the problem, Dixie will tackle it. They're licensed and trusted electricians, plumbers, air and garage door technicians are ready to win for you. From toilets to garbage disposals, circuit breakers to HVAC systems, Dixie never fumbles. Don't throw away your hard-earned money on second-string contracting companies. Score big with Dixie. After all, they are your biggest fan. Visit calldixie.com or dial them up locally at 262-2946.
All right, man, grab a Budweiser and take a knee. It is the best time of the year. It's baseball season. That means sunshine. It means behind-the-back peanut tosses. And it means sharing some cold, frosty Budweisers with your boys. Because there's nothing more American than watching America's game with America's beer. So let me ask you something. Are you ready to bring your A game? Are you ready to cheer every frozen rope down the line and amazing catch at the warning track? Are you ready for pitchers' duels and slugfests? Tell me, are you ready for the thrill of an incredible walk-off victory? I can't hear you. Are you ready for Budweiser and baseball? Then get on your feet, raise an ice-cold Bud, and let's make this season larger than life. Great times are waiting. Grab some Bud!
Enjoy responsibly. Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
Don't miss your chance to win big at Victoryland Casino. Play the latest, hottest, most exciting games around with fun bonuses and big jackpots. Don't miss out on your free play. Stop by Player Rewards today and check out this month's exciting free play promotions. Come see why our players keep coming back. You'll have more fun at Victoryland Casino, where you can be a winner too. Victoryland Casino, located off I-85 exit 22, Shorter, Alabama. Must be 21 or older.
Okay, here we are back at it. I'd say about 27 minutes or so until the top of the hour. Barry, I stumbled upon this.
All right.
This is quite amazing. In the basketball era, that is Nate Oates and Bruce Pearl, since they've been at Alabama and at Auburn and faced one another. This comes from our good friend Kevin Skarbinski up in Birmingham, who was a longtime columnist for the Birmingham News. Yeah. Alabama has 7 wins. Auburn has 5. Total points scored.
Alabama has 7 wins. Auburn has 5.
Amongst those when they played each other.
Oh, okay.
Head to head.
All right.
Head to head.
All right.
In the Bruce Pearl, Nate Oates era, played 12 times.
All right.
In those 12 games, total number of points for Alabama, 1,001. Total number of points for Auburn, 1,001. SEC wins. Alabama has 75. Auburn has 72. Overall wins. Alabama has 141. Auburn has 141. That is amazing.
That is amazing. This is a golden era. This is to be savored. It's not. Would it mean as much if, for instance, Auburn was playing at the level that they are and Alabama was a 500 team overall among the numbers John just mentioned, or the other way around? If Alabama, went to the Final Four last year and Auburn was 11-20 a year ago, I don't think it would. It has elevated basketball in consciousness to even Bob from Pike Road. Well, Bob's not talking about basketball. He's talking about the stuff around the game. This guy should be suspended. That guy, But people are talking about it because both teams are really, really, really good.
Well, Barry, this time last week,
this is awesome. I never in my wildest dreams, I never would have thought that basketball would be like this in the state of Alabama. And it's been great.
Well, I'm with you. I didn't either. And a week ago, the two of us were on this very program. We talked live for 2 hours on Monday morning a week ago. And it was about 11 o'clock that morning that it hit me. Alabama started spring football today. We didn't even talk about it.
Yep.
It was all basketball. All the entire conversation. Alabama had lost to Tennessee. Auburn had wrapped up the SEC title. And Alabama football spring practice was like, huh? And we talked about it on Tuesday. But a week from today, a week ago, not a mention.
Partly it's because, a little bit of it is because spring practice doesn't mean as much to the fan as it used to. There's not as much access to it, not nearly as much access to it. Yep. They're getting away from the scrimmage model of getting your team ready in the spring, more towards OTAs, organized team activities. But mostly it's because there's really, really good basketball going on. Look, John and I have said this for years, all the years we've been together. We both love basketball. We both love the round ball, but it's difficult to talk basketball at an exciting level and keep an audience, quite frankly, when one team is 17-13 and the other team is, 11-19. It's just hard to do it that way. Now that they're both good, both teams have had big wins. Both teams have made the Final Four. And like John said, they've been incredibly even over the last several years. We've never talked more basketball in our lives than we have over the last several years, and we are in for it. We are all about it. The next level is one of these teams in the state's got to win the title. Yeah. When that happens, it's been so even. Auburn's made a Final Four. Alabama's made a Final Four. Auburn's won SEC tournament championships. Alabama's won SEC tournament championships. Both teams have had big wins. Both teams have won regular season championships. And it's been very even. What will be the difference maker in the consciousness in Alabama and in the consciousness nationally? Which one of those two teams is going to be the first one to win the Natty?
Yeah,
when they do, that will go a long way towards one of those fan bases.
Bama fan might have a little more better feel about their team, might be a little more encouraged. I heard something over the weekend, and I thought, that's a good point. And both right. Alabama and Auburn, and really most every team in this league, but those two teams in particular, they have played such difficult competition throughout the year, not only in conference but out of conference, and particularly that in-conference schedule, Barry, I think is going to pay huge dividends to both of these teams when they get in the NCAA tournament, because in those early rounds, they're going to be playing teams that just really, quite honestly, aren't as good, don't have the firepower, don't have the athleticism that most of the teams they played in their own league this year. So whoever they get a draw and they get into the, if they make it into the Sweet 16, they're playing somebody outside of their league, the experience factor should be huge for both Auburn and Alabama because they played a lot of damn good teams already.
Well, yeah, your point is well made, but bear in mind there's always a Yale lurking around the corner, You take one of them less than seriously, and they can bite you. I've always said this. The two things that seem to me to be the real difference makers, well, three, two of them mainly, in the NCAA tournament, experience is one, and mental toughness is the other. You're going to be, at some point in the tournament, multiple points, you are going to be really tested. Oh, yeah. Nobody that I can remember just sails through the NCAA tournament. There are going to be times when your back is against the wall and you got to rally around each other and you've got to, dig your heels in and you've got to make a play or two. That's what the SEC is. I mean, just to survive this league, you can poll every team in this league and they can name 10 times that this league just itself has tested them and things look bleak and they were able to do whatever it took to get a big win on the road or, to be able to overcome a big deficit at home or whatever like that. Not necessarily the case in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, at least not at that same level, or in the Ohio Valley Conference or something like that. So that is a big, big part of it, to be sure. The mental toughness that you have to generate just to get through this league unscathed and be in a position to get an NCAA tournament bid, I think has got to give you an advantage once tournament play begins.
Yeah, I'm with you. And of course, both Auburn and Alabama will have 5 full days without playing a game. They both last played Saturday afternoon. They won't play again until Friday up in Nashville. So how big will those 5 days off? They'll be shooting, there'll be walkthroughs, all that type stuff. But the physical game will not be a part. They won't have to deal with that until Friday. And I think both these teams could use a little rest, get their legs underneath them, as coaches like to say.
But, and I think that played in the Sun Belt tournament. South Alabama was the number 1 seed. James Madison was number 2. They played, their regular season ended last Friday, and they didn't play again until yesterday, Sunday. And they both lost. I'm just saying that's the reason why. But, the teams that have already got a game in the tournament, the teams that have already, shot on the rims in Nashville or, were tested already competitively in Nashville, they come in, and Auburn and Alabama have, they've gotten rest, and rest is good. But they come in, and it takes a little while to get acclimated. Okay, here we go again. Here we go. Let's get the juices flowing again. I do think that's an advantage, John, for those teams who have played a game in the tournament.
With so many games being played, the teams like Auburn and Alabama, they don't play till Friday.
Right.
Do they go to Nashville on Wednesday? Do they go Thursday morning when they get there? Do they have any time inside the arena? Or are they practicing over at Vanderbilt's gym? Or Belmont or somewhere else? I mean, where are they getting some shots before they get to game time?
I'm telling you, what John's saying, you might not have considered it, but it is a big deal. For instance, Troy, as a 3 seed in the Sun Belt tournament, their first game was Saturday. Troy hadn't played until since the previous Friday, and with the Sun Belt, both the men's tournament and the women's tournament are going on at the Pensacola Bay Center. Troy waited until the final game was over on Friday to go to the Bay Center and get some shots up. I mean, they were out there. They began shooting around at 11 o'clock Friday night just to get shots up. Otherwise, the first time that they would have shot on the rims there would have been in pregame warm-ups before Saturday's game. That is a thing. Troy practiced at Gulf Breeze High School, which is right down the road. Shout out Bill from Baltimore, his hometown. They practiced at Pensacola State College. But gosh, you got to get some shots up at the venue before you show up with the uniforms on and getting ready to play. All of this logistical stuff, I'm telling you, it's a big deal. It is a factor, whether it's the SEC tournament. I don't think the SEC tournament means nearly as much to Auburn, Alabama, Florida, Tennessee, as it does to LSU, Oklahoma, Georgia, and South Carolina. Because, I mean, some of those schools have got to win this thing in order to get in. If you're thinking, well, Alabama, do they need to beat whomever? And Alabama is in the same bracket as Kentucky. It's very likely they'll have to play Kentucky in Nashville in the quarterfinals on Friday. Does Alabama need to win that game? Well, they don't need to. They're in the tournament. Everybody knows that. Do they need to win that game or at least get to the semifinals to get a number one seed? Well, probably. But again, the number one seed in the tournament isn't the be-all, end-all. So for somebody like South Carolina, say, they've got to win the tournament. They've got to win 5 games in 5 days.
Mm-hmm. Tough stuff.
That ain't going to happen, John. That ain't going to happen. So you'd rather have, the first couple of buys in there. But for a school like Alabama and Auburn, it is not critical that you win the SEC tournament. So you got to kind of play that off, a little bit as well.
JJ over in Atlanta says if the Tide does not hit the 3, he actually said free, but I know what he's talking about. If
Are they hitting is he talking about hitting their free throws or they're hitting their threes?
Both. But I think they're known as a team that's got to hit the threes. I mean, I'm with you. They got to. Can other people step up and hit them like Grant Nelson did? I mean, Mark Sears didn't have his greatest game from a stat line, but at the end of the game or the end of overtime is where he made it count.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is a team built on the 3, and there's no doubt. But there again, even if they're not hitting the 3, they've got to avoid the turnovers. 15 turnovers that led to 20 Auburn points on Saturday. They've got to rebound offensively. And in the overtime, they did really well on the offensive glass, did pretty well on the offensive glass in the first half, but 0 offensive rebounds in the second half. Cannot have that.
Well, bear in mind this. I think it was offensive rebounding in the overtime that won it for Alabama in the second overtime. They were 0 for 4 from three-point range in the second overtime. 0 for 4. They hit 5 buckets in the second overtime. They were 0 for 4 from three-point range. They got extra chances, offensive rebounding. If you would have told me that Alabama would be in the second overtime on the road at their biggest rival, they missed all 4 of their shots in crunch time, 3-point shots in crunch time, there's no way they win that game. But it's because of the other things that John's talking about that they were able to do. Rebound offensively, share the basketball in overtime. That's the reason why they had a chance to win it at the very end. You're exactly right.
I'm with you. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, it is the team of the day, the Florida Gators. How many games will they win in football in 2025? Well, we're looking at their number at 6.5.
Right.
And again, these numbers might fluctuate a little bit between now and the opening kick in late August, but we're using the numbers that we've got in front of us because our predictions could change a little bit as well between now and kickoff. But as of today, the Gators at 6.5. We'll go over their schedule and tell you what we think in terms of wins and losses in 2025.
Yep, it's Longshore and McKnight, Monday show presented by Bud Light.
Hey, Marianne from Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry joining us here this morning.
Well, we did have Marguerite. We did have Marianne from Marguerite joining us a moment ago.
Hey, Marianne from Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry joining us here this morning. And Marianne, you can kind of feel it. Spring is in the air. We're in the month of March. And of course, we got to talk about that March birthstone because anybody that has it, Marguerite's can take care of you.
Most definitely. Well, we are in March. It's hard to believe. And March's birthstone is aquamarine. And it is beautiful. It's honestly one of my favorite gemstones there are. It's kind of like the little black dress of gemstones. It's this soft, like light blue, goes with everything. And it's really one of the most popular. So if you have a March birthday, or if you know someone that does, the birthstone is always a great way to go. It shows that you think about them, that you remember when their birthday actually is, and that you put a little thought into it. And we've got tons of pieces, bracelets, lots of beautiful rings. We've made up several pair of earrings, like studs with little diamond halos around them. You name it, we can make it. And we are in the works of doing a few stackable bands for moms that are expecting new March babies. So I'm sure they will go over really well, and they'll be super great gifts.
It's a fabulous gift idea. Aquamarine is the March birthstone, and Marguerites can take care of it for you, for the loved one that has that March birthday. So I know you're located at 8163 Vaughn Road in Pepper Tree and open 7 days a week, correct?
7 days a week, 10 to 5:30, Monday through Friday, 10 to 5 on Saturday, and noon to 5 on Sunday. So there's no excuse. You can always stop in at Marguerite's. We're always open.
They certainly are a full-service jeweler. I cannot stress that enough, whether it's new jewelry items or repairs or engraving, monogramming, or you want to make something old new again, they can do it at Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry. They're in Pepper Tree, adjacent to Chappie's Deli on Vaughn Road. Thank you so much, Mary Ann. Have a great day.
Thanks. You too.
Okay, welcome back in. About 9 minutes to the top of the hour. Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light, in conjunction with our good friends at Yellowhammer News, where you can watch us at yellowhammernews.com. Also, a write-up each and every afternoon on their website. We're also on Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, Spotify. There's so many ways to find us. We really appreciate folks doing that. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it.
And tell your friends as well. We continue on with our series of previewing SEC football schedules. Few things are nearer and dearer to John's heart than schedules. He is a schedule guy. Absolutely loves it. Over,
when Vegas
under,
comes out with
against the number
totals,
from Vegas. Yeah,
when Vegas comes out with the totals, then I really like to see where the schedule's set up in terms of where I think the number of wins and losses will be. And there again, the numbers just came out, so we're doing it in spring. I'm sure we'll do it again in the summer and before the season starts, as these numbers kind of fluctuate and settle in a little bit. But there again, we're using the numbers that were released not too long ago. So, Barry, I've been, as you have as well, been following college athletics and college sports for a long time. I got to admit, I like the logo of their mascot, but I've never in my life heard of Long Island University, which is Florida's first opponent.
Well, let's be honest. Everybody watching, listening, that has ever watched and listened to us over the years, none of you have ever heard of it. None of all I know about Long Island University is many, many years ago, they were a college basketball power under a coach named Claire B. B-E-E. And the only reason why I know that is because I bought his book when I was a kid about basketball, when I was, trying out for the middle school basketball team.
Not Clarence B. That was Clarence Beeks. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Clarence Beeks. No, this is Claire B. That back in the day, they were called the Blackbirds. Now they're called the LIU Sharks.
I got to tell you, Barry, I don't know if you can see the logo as well, but that's a cool logo. I got to give them credit. At least I got the logo going. It
is nice. I mean, I'm looking on mine with a little helmet on there. It's pretty cool. But nobody, none of you, admit it. There's no chance any of you ever knew that there was a collegiate football program called the LIU Sharks. They will open the 2025 season of Florida Gator football at Ben Hill Griffith Stadium in Gainesville on Saturday, August the 30th.
Yes.
The schedule is, well, first of all, the outlook is better for Florida. They've got a dynamic quarterback named DJ Lagway. They won a few games late last year when everybody was saying that Billy Napier was a dead man walk-in. They recruited a lot better down the stretch. I like the schedule. I particularly like that they were able to get it worked out on Saturday, September 20th, to get the Miami Hurricanes back on the schedule, except they play them down at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens.
I'll give Florida credit. They're playing a lot of in-state schools this year, because after they play LIU, they've got South Florida coming into Gainesville, 2 home games to open up the season. South Florida can be a little stingy. Barry, that could be a watch-out game because of who's coming up next on the road. So I think they can beat South Florida. I'm not sure they'll cover the spread. We don't know what that is right now. That game against South Florida could be tighter than Gator fans want it, but I'm going to say the Gators start out 2-0.
I am too. Bear in mind, DJ Lagway is no Tyler Buckner.
Yeah.
I think Florida handles both of them 2-0 before they head to LSU. And that's where I come to a screeching halt, John.
Okay.
I got to really, really think about that one. Because if Billy Napier wants to get the Gator faithful all on his side instead of just a few here and there, this is that game. They go to LSU. LSU preseason will be ranked in the top 10.
Yes, they will.
I will assure you of that. They'll be ranked in the top 10. If Napier can take the Gators into Baton Rouge week 3 and win that game, that will gain the full attention of Gator Nation. That is a big one.
It certainly will, Barry. But that game on September the 13th opens up a streak of games that are going to be extremely difficult for the Gators. LSU, Miami, Texas, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, who's not going to be any good again this year.
They'll be bad, yeah.
In Georgia. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. I think going to Baton Rouge after starting off 2-0, going to be tough. That's going to be really tough. I think Florida's going to drop that one. And then I think the next week, Barry,
Miami will be top 25. And they're playing they're playing in Coral Gables or wherever. They're playing Miami Gardens. That's not a big deal. The fact that it's at Miami, it's not really at Miami. It's like 30 miles north of the University of Miami campus. They don't really have a great home atmosphere. That's the Dolphins Stadium. Heck, maybe more Gator fans there than Hurricanes fans. So I like Florida's chances at Miami. I got them starting out 3-1 before an off week, and then Texas in Gainesville.
Before we get to Texas, I say after Florida starts out 2-0, they are losing at LSU and at Miami to be 2-2.
All right.
Go to the off week and then shock the world and beat Texas. After the off week in Gainesville at home, they beat the Longhorns on October the 4th to be 3-2 at that point.
In the words of Stewie from Family Guy, you must be shrooming. How in the world do you have them losing at Miami and winning at home against Texas?
Well,
Texas is going to be strong.
Schedule last year. There were episodes you're going, wait, how'd they lose to that team? And then, whoa, how'd they beat that team? Same thing's going to happen. They're going to upset. I'm not going to say they're blowing them out. I mean, is it a nail biter as the clock winds down? Sure it is. But they're going to beat Texas coming in 2-2 and coming in after an off week. 3-2 as they head to College Station on October 11th. And then maybe things might come back down to reality. I got them losing to A&M to be 3-3 after 6 games.
I got them 3-2 after the Texas game, which they will lose at home, which they wouldn't, but they will. Texas A&M on the road, they'll be a top. Goodness gracious. Last year, Florida had the hardest schedule in the country. This year may even be harder, without, considering LIU, for goodness sakes. Golly, I got them 3-3. 3-3. After the Texas A&M game. So they've got to get some work done in order to get over that Vegas number.
So we both have them at 3-3. We just have some of the wins and losses a little differently. All right, to come back home, 11 o'clock kick, I go ahead and tell you right now, It'll be a sloppy game, nothing great, but Florida beats Mississippi State to be 4-3.
Here's where it gets interesting. I got them beating Mississippi State. I got them going 4-3. An off week before they head to Jacksonville for the matchup against Gunner Stockton and the Georgia Bulldogs.
You know, Barry,
I just constitutionally, psychologically, am unable to root for Georgia in anything.
Yeah.
I've got the Gators upsetting the Bulldogs. They'll be ripe for the upset on November 1st.
I can't go there because I've already gotten Florida upsetting another big-time team in Texas. So Georgia beats them in Jacksonville, maybe closer than we thought. Georgia wins, but the Gators are at 500, 4-4 going into their last four games.
I got them at 5-3 heading into the last three, which are manageable, even though 2 in a row are on the road at Kentucky. Kentucky's going to be bad. Not going to be a good year for the Wildcats. And at Ole Miss, maybe I'm missing something, but Ole Miss will be, a lot of people have them ranked in the top 25. I don't see it. No Jackson Dart, a couple of those defensive linemen gone. I got Florida winning at Ole Miss. They'll be 6-3 with Tennessee and Florida State closing out the regular year in Gainesville.
And I got them beating Kentucky, obviously, even though it's in Lexington. Early November, could be cold, but they'll beat Kentucky. That'll put them at 5-4 in my book. I'm kind of going back and forth because I think they could upset Tennessee. I think they could Yep, I think I'm going to go this route, Barry.
All right.
They will lose in Oxford, and at that point, they will be 5-5. But they'll come back and win their next two, both at home against Tennessee and Florida State, to finish the season 7-5 over the total of 6.5 wins.
Maybe it's my childhood calling. But, John, I've got him at 9-3.
Whoa!
9-3, winning, starting out 2 losses in their first 4 games. And then they go, 5-1 down the stretch.
So both of us have over 6.5 wins for the Florida Gators. I think this total could creep up just a little bit, Barry, just a little bit. I'm going over 6.5.
The win total. I'm going over 6.5. I'm going a lot over 6.5. I'm going 9 for the Florida Gators. That's my first over, by the way, I believe.
You had over with Auburn. You had over.
Oh, yeah. That's it.
You've got 2 unders and 2 over. You got Alabama and Arkansas going under. You got Auburn and Florida going over. I've got 3 overs and 1 under to this point. I'm an under player. What's going on there?
We are into our second hour of the live show. Let's take a break. When we come back, Josh Harris is knocking at the door. We're going to get him coming up in the second hour of our program. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Phoenix Physical Therapy is ready to help patients recover, recharge, and rise. They develop a customized therapy plan for each patient to get them back to enjoying their favorite activities. Their experienced team is committed to providing exceptional care in a professional environment. Whether you're looking to prevent or treat an injury, recover from a recent illness, or recuperate from surgery, schedule an appointment with our clinic and take advantage of our physical therapy, athletic training, workers' comp, and employer solutions service. Experience elevated physical therapy today. Call Phoenix Physical Therapy at 239-9316. That's 239-9316.
Book tee time sooner. Save on every round. That's what you get with the 2025 RTJ Trail Card. Destination golf is closer than you might think. Buy a 2025 Trail Card and save every time you play. Plus, you will be automatically entered into the Trails Loyalty Program. enjoy 10-day advance reservation privileges at each location. 11-day advanced internet tee times on rtjgolf.com and the RTJ app. Enjoy the benefits of a 2025 Trail Card. It makes for a great stocking stuffer, and you save on every round you play in 2025 on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail. Okay, back at it. About 4 minutes past the hour here on a Monday. Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. In association with our friends at Yellowhammernews.com. Can't stress enough, a week from today, our tournament bracket contest will begin, and you can go to Yellowhammernews.com, their homepage, click the tab. It'll be right there. And the instructions, easy to follow, easy to read. It doesn't take 3 minutes to enter the contest, just, some information, name, email address, phone number, and you start clicking the teams that you like. And, of course, we'll start that bright and early a week from today at 7 a.m. But, it's very, very important. And we've heard the excuses. Believe me, folks, some of the lines we've heard.
Yeah.
When that opening tip, and it's usually around 11 o'clock Central Time, some game between schools you've never heard, like, Duke will be playing, Abilene
Long
Christian,
Island University,
Long Island University. Soon as the official hoists the ball into the air, contest is closed at that point.
At that moment, because John and I look at the timestamp on the email, and we have, in that regard, we have a heart as minuscule as your man does. Kind of what we are. You came close. Ask your man if he'll give you credit if you come close. No. Well, I only missed it by 20 seconds. You might as well have missed it by 20 days.
Sure. I don't know what the man's going to let you do that is if you're down so big to him, he might have a little warmth in his heart, but he's probably thinking, this guy's on such a losing streak, he can call me 10 minutes after tip. I'll take his action all day. Hey, our man Josh Harris, super fan, Yellowhammer News. I was thinking about Josh on Saturday after the dust settled a little bit. Barry, when Josh joined us last week, it was doom and gloom. He was not in a good mood. I could just tell after that loss in Knoxville, it was not a good Monday. I think Josh is going to be a little bit different this Monday. Josh, how you doing today?
Pretty dang good. Pretty good. Feeling refreshed. Why were you talking about my man like that? He does. He knows I'm bad. He'll give me 10 minutes after. Give me some free play. I'll be fine.
As a matter of fact, Josh's man will call him and remind him,
Hey, game tip. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, don't forget now. Yeah.
Did you try to call me?
There's a line in there just for you.
Yeah. Hey, Josh, when local man sends you a Christmas card, things aren't good.
Hey, that's a good man. You got to keep people happy.
The reaction: Alabama wins in against Auburn, 93-91 overtime game. Are you a pro Crimson Crane or team anti Crimson Crane? Because I think it's
whatever makes the boys happy. When he dunks on his head, he can do whatever he wants. He can hit the worm. He can look like Mike Gesicki out there trying to do the gritty. I don't care when you put him like that. That guy's incredible. He played.
You dunk on Auburn, Josh gives you a golden ticket. Whatever you want to do, man.
Yeah, I don't care. That was I had a guy, speaking of Grant Nelson, he was right out of college. I was at an engagement party in Huntsville, which is great city, by the way.
It is.
Balls are there, and I've been going a bunch. It's incredible. So, but we went out downtown, and there's this younger college kid, and he kept coming up to me and telling me how much he hated Grant Nelson. And every time he'd come up to me, corner three.
Yeah.
Dunk. So I was like, keep coming and talking to me. Like, you're my good luck charm. Come here, buddy.
I will say this in all seriousness. I get a little concerned about Bruce Pearl on the sidelines. After that play, he was letting the officials have it, and I get it. But I'm thinking, man, just dial it down a little bit. I mean, he just gets so overworked, and he's so enthusiastic about it. I'm thinking, man, this guy's going to bust a gut or something if he just doesn't just dial it down just a little bit.
I feel bad for his doctor, man. That blood.
Yeah.
He's got to, I actually do like Bruce as much as
sure.
Yeah. I do like the guy, but you do worry about him. Like, relax a little bit, my guy. It's fine.
I don't know.
Bad happen.
I could run a marathon in May and not sweat as much as Bruce Pearl does in the first half of a basketball game on the sidelines. It's amazing. It's amazing how much a human being can perspire. He sets the standard.
I've got to, I've heard that, Barry. I just haven't been looking close enough, but I am in Nashville because I have heard that some people are, sweaters, I guess.
Perspirers.
Perspirers.
For sure. But what about, so you asked me last time, so I'm going to pose a question back because then it was clipped, put on the internet, and my friends gave me a lot of crap for it.
Good. Oh, I'm sorry.
Really?
Good. You asked me.
So it worked.
What my thought, exactly. It was perfect. You guys, you knew what you were doing. You asked me if what I thought about fans throwing stuff on the court, and I said it wasn't a good look. Now, what do we think about fans throwing stuff at players on the court?
Not good.
Yeah. You know what I think it was, though?
Yeah.
They had all that toilet paper ready, and they had to throw it somewhere. So they threw it at Mark Sears instead of those trees.
Doesn't have the same effect.
No, it doesn't.
There's different ramifications if you poison a tree than if you poison Mark Sears as well. So, I mean, there's different rules of engagement.
Yeah.
But, the look of throwing things at players under any context, there's no excuse for that. None whatsoever. Definitely.
But let me take this angle.
Okay.
Why didn't the players just go back to their own bench? Are they not taunting those students?
Sure.
Are they sitting there just asking for it?
They're not throwing stuff at the students.
And you're doing the crimson crane, or you're, with your arms folded or whatever. I mean, and there again, I'm not excusing the students for throwing things, but they are just begging for it. I'll say this: when Mark Sears made the bucket, horn sounds, his momentum takes him to that baseline, and he crosses his arm, and the guy on camera gets him going, game over.
Sorry.
To me, that was okay. But to go over there to that side of the arena and begging for it. And it doesn't excuse the fans, but I would have rather seen the team just go back to your bench, act like it isn't a big deal.
Not a big, yeah. I mean,
it's a big deal.
It was, I don't know. I'm not buying that side of it. You can't.
What
I like the argument because
what happened?
I was the worst fan in the history in college. I mean, I screamed the most insane stuff you ever heard. Not the most insane. Kept it. It was bad, right?
Yeah.
I didn't throw anything. Next
what
level.
happened when Auburn won at Coleman Coliseum? What were the videos you saw? You saw Janai Broome, middle of the floor, waving goodbye, wishing them well, safe driving on the way home, goodbye, and all that kind of stuff. And they didn't like that very much. They didn't throw anything at him.
So what did you think about the cheap shot to the back of Youngblood's head?
It was awful. I just recapping the whole game, seeing, I mean, it's awful. I'm glad he's okay. But, I mean, as a fan, I mean, you got a cheap shot by the other team that's all over the place. You got them throwing stuff on the court after you win and an overtime buzzer beater in their house. As an Alabama fan, like, that doesn't get any better than that. You got people, I mean, that's incredible. I mean, that's what you asked for. It's mayhem.
And from a basketball sense, what does that win really mean? Does it absolve all of the criticisms that Bama fans have got? Does that make them a number one seed? Does that give them momentum heading into the SEC tournament? What does it really, all in all, mean?
I think it's good for both teams. We were coming off 2 losses. Just to get back real, I think it is good for both teams because we were coming off 2 losses, and we needed some positive momentum going into the tournament. Auburn was hyped up as this incredible, unbeatable number 1 seed, right? And they got, a little awakening just like Alabama did last year. So we needed a little positivity, and Auburn needed a little bit of needed to be humbled a little bit. And I think it's good for both teams heading in the right direction. We needed some confidence, and they needed to be knocked down a little bit. And Janai Broom's playing out of his mind. That guy's
incredible,
unbelievable.
God, he's good. I mean, he is so good. I mean, you can't stop the guy. I mean, and he makes it look so easy.
Can Alabama win the national championship?
Sure. Absolutely. We've been in it every single year. We're deep. If we can play defense, which we still haven't shown that we can play really good defense, then we can figure it out. I mean, we made it last year. We went to the Final Four and had a shot. We were number 1 seed the year before. Nate Oates knows what he's doing. He's made runs with Buffalo, a lot worse teams than this. So there's no reason we can't compete for a national championship. We're a 1 or 2 seed.
I think, and I mentioned this earlier, Josh, I think who Alabama's played so far this year, both out of the league and in SEC play, is really going to pay dividends when they get into the early rounds of the tournament because, they've had the difficult games. They've played against the really good teams. But you're right. When they get down there, if they make it to the Sweet 16, Final 8, Final 4, it's all about defense. It's all about not turning the ball over.
Not beating yourself.
You know who else played great is Cliff, Big Cliff. He played really well.
He was.
Big. And he's a big role player that if he can play big in the middle, that's huge for us. That's big time.
Well, he didn't match up well against Florida with the size they had inside. And we were talking at the time after they lost to Florida that how much I thought they missed Bediako. And that Amore is serviceable, but he's not that guy. He looked like that guy against Auburn, or it looks like he could be that guy against them. That's important.
And then the experience that Philon gained from messing up, if you will, in the Tennessee game, not getting the inbounds in. He hit some clutch free throws late. He played great late as well. So the team's progressing in the right way at the right time. And then obviously all the Sears naysayers or people, I don't even want to watch the streams where I was asked about that a couple weeks ago because I don't know what I said, but he's good. I mean, he's playing like he should. He's not taking the crazy shots. And I think it's just intensity, right? He's playing intense on defense as well.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of good, and Youngblood looked great to start off the game. So it was exciting.
Gotta love the Band-Aid on the eye. I mean, man, blue, I'm telling you, he's a blue collar player. Yeah, I like that guy. All right, Josh, before we let you go, got to ask you this. Alabama spring football, a week in the books. I believe 3 practices took place last week. What are you picking up on it and your thoughts about year 2 under Kalen DeBoer?
Year 2 under Kalen DeBoer this is the year of judgment, in my opinion. He's got a whole year to get his team in place. It was the year of Milroe is a great guy, but it was all about Milroe, right? The whole offense was run through Milroe. Now DeBoer can hopefully get his offense put in like he had at Washington, he can get his guys in there. He can get the people that he thinks is. He can maybe get some more control over the team. But I think that's what I like. That's what I'm interested in. We have a true quarterback battle too, which is nice. It's not like we have bad quarterbacks. We just have a couple good quarterbacks competing for the starting position. So I'll be excited to see who comes out of that, and feeling optimistic. But if he lets down this year, I think it's when, in my opinion, you got to start. Don't cut him, but you got to start actually making a decision. So that's
if you start seeing some assistant coaches getting let go, that's never a good sign.
No, not a good start.
Josh, I think it's going to be different. I don't expect. I said this last week. I don't expect to see Alabama play games like they did against Vanderbilt and Oklahoma this year. If they do play games like that, it's big time trouble. Agreed. But I don't expect to see that. They're going to lose a game or two. Yeah, they are. But being competitive, being in it, playing physical, that's one thing. Playing like they did up in Nashville and in Norman, that happens again this fall, it is trouble.
I don't think DeBoer's scared either, which he came to take this job. He is a confident person. He is, just as someone said to me the other day, I'm confident you're confident. I'm confident that DeBoer's confident that he can do well, or he wouldn't have taken this job. He had it. He had everything he could up there in Washington. So he's a confident guy. So we'll see what he does this year.
There you go. Josh, we appreciate it as always. Thank you very much for all of the insight. When it was over, did you go Cohiba? Was it a Swisher Sweet? The reaction? Yeah.
I was staying with the in-laws, so I had to keep it under control a little bit.
Yeah.
Ooh, I know what that's like. Yeah.
And it was a little early in the day to kind of break out the 18-year-old scotch, but maybe later in the evening.
Right. You gotta keep it together when you're going home there.
Yeah, you got that right. No question. Josh, we appreciate it, man. Take care.
See ya.
We'll talk to you next week. Josh Harris, super fan, Yellowhammer News. Really appreciate that, Barry. When we come back, is the Phantom's daily dog on a respirator? We'll let you know when we get back.
In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Why Hands? At Hands Heating and Air, you get this area's highest ranked service provider with 24-hour repair service, no overtime charges, and their same-day service guarantee. Plus, instead of other companies' 30-day repair warranty, Hands gives you a 3-year repair warranty. Hands Heating and Air is here for you 24/7, 365. And service is not just something they do, it's their way of operating, for you in mind. All of Hands employees are trained to adhere to this standard. They work hard to ensure that this standard is maintained, and they are constantly looking for new ways to better serve you. Call Hands Heating and Air today at 508-5382. That's 508-5382, or find them on the web at 834hands.com.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Jim Massey's Cleaners and Laundry is an Alabama-based, family-owned and operated business that specializes in dry cleaning and laundry, serving the river region since 1941. There are 12 convenient locations across the river region. Find one close to you or call 481-1911 for free pickup and delivery. For 83 years, Central Alabama has trusted Jim Massey's Cleaners and Laundry. You should too.
All right, it's 22 minutes past the hour here on a Monday. Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Friday, the Phantom's daily dog, went down in flames as Purdue was at Illinois catching 4.5, and the Boilermakers, I think they lost by like 9, if I'm not mistaken. Not enough to cover the 4.5. It's a rough week. Rough week for the Phantom's daily dog last week. I think we were 1-4.
Illinois wins that one, 88-80, the final score. I don't know how you define comfortable, but that was a comfortable win.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it could have been, 85-80.
Still,
but anyway, Barry, in this game, we're not dwelling on the past. We're not going to sit here and
looking ahead.
Correct.
Be the future, Danny.
Be the future. I looked at the college lineup today. I'm just kind of scanning around and looking at who's got what's going on all over the place. Delaware and Towson Wofford and Furman. Even though I'm a big Furman fan, Furman's laying 2.5 tonight. Oakland and Robert Morris. Idaho and Portland State.
Hey, don't forget Youngstown State versus Cleveland State in the Horizon Conference. I always forget about the Horizon Conference. John didn't
This
even
one
know there was
almost got my
the
attention.
Penguins versus the Vikings, by the way.
I almost took the 4.5 with Incarnate Word at Nichols tonight.
Ooh, Nichols minus 4.5, playing in the Southland Conference tournament. I can't even tell you where it's taking place. It's taking place in Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Yeah, tough. So I looked at the association, and several games caught my attention.
Right.
Like the Hawks catching 9.5 at home to a
against
Philadelphia
the 76ers.
Team. It's not very good. I'm thinking Atlanta's really that bad? Woo,
yeah, Atlanta's 30-34. The 76ers are 19 games under 500. And their best player, Joel Embiid, has been shut down for the rest of the year. That might 9.5's a lot.
That's a lot of points for the Hawks to be laying, even though they are at home.
Right.
So I didn't really like that one. Kind of cruised around a little bit more, and then this one caught my attention. The Chicago Bulls catching 5.5 at home tonight against the Indiana Pacers.
This used to be Reggie Miller versus MJ.
Yeah.
Rick Smits against Luke Longley. He used to, back in the day, they were always in the playoffs, and it seems they were always playing each other in the conference finals.
It did seem to be that way. And that one kind of caught my attention. But, Barry, that line has moved in the last 30 minutes. Looked at that one. I've gone back to look. It was 4.5 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And in a 30-minute period, some money has come in on the Indiana Pacers to move the line to 5.5. Think about these early morning NBA lines. You got to watch them because there's a lot of movement in the mornings when they're coming out.
Boy, you're not kidding. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. That too. Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of movement going on in the morning.
Got
that one kind of caught my eye a little bit as well. It's been a tough go of it. But, Barry, we're going to take the Memphis Grizzlies laying 4.5. Yeah, tonight. But
at home.
Memphis is laying 4.5 to the Phoenix Suns. We're going to grab that 4.5 and take Phoenix plus the 4.5 at Memphis tonight.
I love that. Phoenix has been a major disappointment. They spent all that money basically on 3 players, Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, and a bunch of money. They were predicted to win the West. They're 4 games under 500. They're so talented, John. That's a good pick. I like that, just in terms of pure basketball talent.
Yep.
I think that is the dog of the day. Easy.
Yeah, we're taking the Phoenix plus the 4.5 at Memphis tonight.
Yep.
And that game is at 7 o'clock. I guess you got to watch it on NBA TV or something like that. Who knows? But
yeah, exactly.
That's what we're going with.
What's that? Somebody just texted me and said the biggest winner so far for the Phantom was his mentioning just how interesting morning movement is. Yeah, some people don't. Some people, there is no morning movement, kind of, puts a damper on the rest of your day. So, yeah, you've always got to watch out.
Makes you feel full and bloated.
That's exactly right. Other than light and quick on your feet. Yep.
Yeah.
So there we go.
I know what's coming. Some little jabs, little forearms to the back of the head. I know what's coming if the Phantom goes on a little downward trend. But just remember, when the worm turns, so to speak, and the Phantom's killing it, we'd still like the reaction. It'd be nice.
Yeah.
But if you just want to kick the Phantom when he's down, okay, that's fine. That's up to you.
Speaking of morning movement, Robbie is up.
He's up.
He has joined us. Robbie, you got to get up earlier. He's going over everything that we've already talked about. obsessively. Robbie is back on the Troy train now that the Trojans are playing in the conference.
How about that, Robbie?
What is it, a month ago that Robbie said that Troy needs to get rid of Scott Cross? Well, now he's won 22 games, 5 in a row, playing for a tournament championship tonight. And Robbie said the ability to shoot threes will be key for Troy tonight. Where can we watch the Troy game? Again, it's on ESPN2 tonight, Robbie. You can check that out against Arkansas State. There you go. Let's take a break.
So let me ask you this real quick about Troy before I don't lose track. I have never been in the Pensacola Civic Center. How is it set up for basketball?
It's nice. It's the Pensacola Bay Center. It's right on the bay. It's not set up well for broadcasters. There's plenty of room down there. The fans are not exactly right on the court. It's a little bit like Coleman Coliseum, seats 10,000. And it's dark in there, like Coleman Coliseum.
Yeah.
But the crowds have been great. There were great crowds yesterday in the semifinals for Arkansas State. They beat South Alabama, which obviously is only about an hour away from Pensacola. They had a lot. And, of course, Troy had a big crowd last night for the win against James Madison. It's legit. It's a really good venue for a tournament like this.
Here's one of the things that I noticed. I saw a clip or something. I don't even know what schools were playing. I just saw the Sun Belt Conference logo on the floor, so I stopped and watched a little bit. But I noticed the arena in Pensacola similar to where the lady SEC tournament's being played. Did they call it the lady tournament or is the women's tournament?
They never call it the lady tournament. It's always the SEC women's basketball tournament, and it's in Greenville, South Carolina. Troy played in the NCAA in men's basketball one year. It's called Bon Secours Arena, and it is beautiful. Greenville, South Carolina is beautiful. That is an underrated place.
It is an underrated place. So I noticed both that arena and the one in Pensacola, there seems to be a lot of space behind the goal before the fans.
Correct.
Are seen. There's too much wasted space in the end zones is what it looks like to me.
This is John using his architecture degree to great effect. And that's a thing. You know, we've talked about that before. One of the reasons why we didn't like games played at the Georgia Dome. A lot of the arenas in the Sun Belt are compact. And the background behind the goal, it can be a factor. You've got to shoot in it for a little while. If you don't have a close background behind it, it takes a moment to get used to all that space back there, at least the visuals of it. That's why a lot of schools hate playing at the Carrier Dome or wherever they call it at Syracuse. You need to be able to shoot there. That's one reason why it's going to be very important at Bridgestone Arena at the SEC tournament this week to get shots up for the teams to get. And again, there's 14 teams that are going to be sharing the same arena. Practice time, shoot-around times, game times, post-game, all that stuff. It's a logistical nightmare, but you've got to be able to familiarize yourself with an arena like that just because the background is different. Let's take a break. About 28 minutes left in our live show. John is in his home studio. I am in Pensacola Beach, Florida, about a half a mile away from Gulf Breeze for Troy playing in the Sun Belt Conference Tournament Championship game tonight at 6 against Arkansas State. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Well, the Crimson Tide and the Auburn Tigers are really hot in college basketball, and so are the deals at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Prattville. Alabama and Northwest Florida's largest volume Ram truck dealer is Stivers in Prattville. And at Stivers, they have the largest selection of Ram trucks priced at thousands less than other dealers. How about a 2025 Ram Bighorn 4x4 crew cab with savings of up to $15,000 off sticker price? Also at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, they have fantastic savings on the entire Jeep lineup, like the Wranglers and Jeep Grand Cherokees. Head over to Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram today on Cobbs Ford Road in Prattville, where Price sells cars and trucks.
Introducing Budweiser Zero. 0% alcohol, 0 grams of sugar. Full Budweiser flavor. A refreshing alcohol-free brew that tastes like the real thing. Budweiser Zero. 0 alcohol. 0 compromise.
The Destin Connection Seafood Market offers the freshest seafood direct from the Gulf of Mexico with deliveries daily. Snapper, grouper, pompano, flounder, copia, along with medium, large, and jumbo shrimp, hand-picked crab meat, and chucked oysters. They can even cook your order for easy, quick pickup. The Destin Connection can make a po' boy with any of their seafood items that folks in New Orleans rave about. Go by and see them at 3750 Norman Bridge Road or call 288-4272 for pickup orders.
All right, it's about 25 minutes to the top of the hour here on a Monday. I know Chris is chomping at the bit. We've gotten all of the Iron Bowl on the hardwood part 2. You're hearing more of that, folks. It's taken about 25 years for people to finally gravitate toward the Iron Bowl on the hardwood, but I'm hearing more and more people describe that matchup in that way.
You know what I'm hearing it called this year more? I'd never really heard of it before. They're calling it the Iron Bowl. They're calling it the IBOB, the Iron Bowl of basketball. It's all about initials and anagrams and stuff like that. The IBOB, the Iron Bowl of basketball, as opposed to the Iron Bowl. John doesn't necessarily love to call it basketball. He'll call it hoops, the hardwood, all that kind of stuff. He's old school sports writer on that stuff. But it's the it's the IBOB lately, and that doesn't have much of a ring to it.
Yeah, if more people would just use the backboard, I'd really be happy. I mean, we're just not utilizing the glass, banking it off the wood. I mean, nobody has wood backboards anymore, but you know what I mean? Back in my day.
That's another thing. I wood backboards are cheaper. They harken back. They're old school.
Yeah.
Why not the wood backboards? Why does it have to be? Wood backboards are opaque, provide a good background to the hoop. You're trying to, and that's one of the reasons why I think people don't use the backboard as much anymore, is because you can see right through it. It's hard to gauge distance on a clear backboard. I say get you a wood backboard, and while you're at it, instead of the big square wood backboard, have those old school curved arc backboards like you used to have, because you don't use the top corners.
And I don't want the little square behind the rim. I want the orange block. Wooden backboards had an orange square, fully painted orange.
That's right.
The fiberglass just had the square, and it was clear inside the square. That's not what we want.
Why orange? Why does it have to be an orange square? I don't know.
No, the
but
rims
the orange
are.
square is the way to go.
Got the why are rims orange? Who came up with that color?
The whole deal. Yeah.
Yeah,
oh
why
man,
are they?
I can't shoot at that one. Huh. That rim is black.
Yeah, so, why an orange rim? I've always wondered that. That could be a good topic on the wheel later. But I vote over at what used to be Cloverdale Community Center. Now it's part of Huntington College. It's part of their campus where Cloverdale Junior High School used to be, where I used to roam the halls and bebop around.
Intermittently would darken the doors of classrooms there.
Man,
when there wasn't anything better to do. Yeah.
Man, Cloverdale. I just didn't know how good
Give us a moment for the memories to wash over John here.
Man, didn't know how good I had it. But anyway, that's where I vote. Yes. So we vote in the gym. So years ago, I'm going to vote at Cloverdale Junior High, now Huntington. And I walk into the gymnasium. I go, wow, man, look at this. Man, they really spruced this place up. Floor looked, brand new. They'd re-glossed it and whatnot, painted everything. And then I looked up at the goal and I went, whoa, wait a minute. Fiberglass backboards? Wait, they took the wooden backboards down and put up fiberglass in here?
Who do I write to complain about this?
No, kid.
I'm going to go to the principal's office. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
It's not that. Okay.
I mean, back in my day, it was all wood.
Going to the principal's office.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Barry, when I was at Cloverdale, and you went to the principal's office, he was paddling you. They used to paddle back in my day, which was late 70s at Cloverdale. You did not want to go to the office. Woo! That paddle with the holes in it.
And look how he turned out.
Uh-huh.
I never got paddled. It never happened to me. But I do know this. When you pledge a fraternity in college, which I did at the University of Florida, never went through with it. I couldn't, as it turns out, I couldn't afford it. But they had the big old paddle. I mean, the big old flat, thick wooden paddle. They had that baby varnished. They had drilled holes in it, I guess, to lessen the wind resistance when you got paddled or something like that. I never could figure out the aerodynamics. They wanted it lighter so they could hit you harder. That was the paddle at the principal's office. It wasn't a little ping pong paddle. It wasn't anything like that. I mean, you got in there, especially when you're a kid. I mean, you go to middle school or elementary school, and you go back 30 years later and you're struck by how small things are because you're bigger. And you look at that paddle when you were a kid, that thing looked like a battle axe, you know?
Sure did. Oh, yeah.
Holy smokes,
thank you, sir. May I have
your lower lip is trembling when you're looking up at the principal. Your eyes are swimming with, tears and all that kind of stuff.
Can you imagine today, though? You ain't paddling my baby. Not going to happen. That's why our society's as loopy as it is today.
That other little boy.
I'll never forget. One time I did get paddled one time. I got 2 or 3 in the principal's office, I guess. What do you mean, I guess? I know I did. But one time I had this little nerdy guy, and he was just on my last nerve. And I said, man, come on, I've had enough of this. And he actually took a swing at me. What? And so I was a lover, not a fighter. I was not a fighter.
Yeah.
But I knew if I had to, stand my ground, I would. And, we get in this fight. It's down in the locker room at Cloverdale. So we get in this fight. Didn't last 20 seconds, this little beanpole. But anyway, the late, great Bobby Eskew, who was our head coach at Cloverdale, that went on to Jeff Davis when we all went over there.
Right.
Heard about it. And I think he just kind of snickered and giggled knowing that he was going to have a chance to light me up. And I go in his office. I said, Coach, I didn't even start it. I mean, this guy swung at me. I mean, he's the one that started the fight. What did you expect? And I played football. I mean, I'm thinking, what did you expect me to do, Coach? If I hadn't have done it, you'd have called me a wimp for not defending myself. I pled my case.
You had me coming and going. Yeah.
Yeah, I pled my case. But he wasn't going to lose the opportunity to light me up with that paddle, which he did. And I took it, and I went, oh, okay. But I never forgot it.
I will tell you this. In the great grand scheme of, the world spinning around on its axis and everything, if Chad Baker Mazzara had gotten paddled when he was a kid, he'd have finished out that game on Saturday, and Auburn would have won. Instead of fearing the pain of discipline, he now feels the pain of regret.
Yeah, and his team.
Now, this is true. John Dent says, John, I was at Cloverdale a couple of years before you. Let me tell you, Coach Sellers had a boat paddle. I got one whack for getting a drink of water on the way back from lunch. Big crime there. Black and blue.
He was my science teacher. I believe his first name was Hubert Sellers. And Coach Sellers had been at Cloverdale since the beginning of time. I mean, he had been there forever. But I remember Coach Sellers.
Our buddy Bo in Prattville loved that guy. He says, my junior high principal had one of those paddles in his office that had Board of Education, except board is spelled B-O-R-E-D. Board of Education, this will help. Printed on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of those people, and a lot of it, if the children couldn't solve their problems themselves and the teachers couldn't help solve the problem as well, if it made it up the chain to the principal, John's right. He ain't listening to a lot of extenuating circumstances. By gosh, if this reaches my desk, I'm swinging a paddle at something.
Yeah. back in, I don't think, I don't know if I ever got, when I got to JD, I think paddling stopped once you left junior high school. I mean, maybe I just had the gift of gab and I could talk my way out of it. Now, I did get suspended at Jeff Davis.
This is a good story.
Yeah, I did get suspended at the homecoming dance and had to get picked up by my brother, who's 9 years older than me, because my parents were out of town. But I had to show up to school on Monday morning before school started with my father to explain what happened, and got suspended for 3 days and had to still go to practice. Well, Sunday before we went to school on Monday to talk to the principal, this other guy had got in trouble with me. We went to Coach Lee's house on Sunday afternoon to kind of explain what happened. He wasn't buying it. Said, I'll never forget. He walked around the corner and said, yeah, I figured it'd be you two. And he had already heard. So we got suspended from school, but still had to come to practice and sit there and watch our teammates practice. We had never run after practice ever. This was my third season, my senior year, never run after practice. We ran that week, but I didn't run, nor did my teammate that got in trouble. We had to watch our teammates run.
And they're dog cussing you and the whole deal. And that's even
And
worse.
there again, one of life's lessons well over 40 years ago. I can still remember today how it all went down, and I learned my lesson. But I didn't get paddled.
No, but nobody gets paddled anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody gets paddled anymore. You talk about lawsuits and injunctions and
crazy
protest marches and all of that stuff.
Wow, we're so crazy. All right, is it time for the wheel? Is it time for the topic wheel?
Let's get a couple of topics in there before the break here.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
Let's spin the Victorland 777 topic wheel. Where?
What could it be?
It fall on. And it's, good. This is airport food number 2.
Yes. Yeah, we talked about that last year on the topic wheel.
Yep. Last week, we talked about it, and I thought of another one, Barry. This was probably going to surprise you a little bit.
Right.
I'm going to go with a restaurant chain that you're probably familiar with. Most people are. P.F. Chang's. You ever eaten at a P.F. Chang?
Oh, several times. When we used to travel to Little Rock for Troy, there was a P.F. Chang's right across from the hotel. Used to hit that one hard. I haven't eaten at one in an airport before, though.
Well, they're a little different, and I'll tell you why. Because I've eaten at 2 P.F. Chang's in airports, but in different airports. One of them is in Terminal B, right there where you go down the escalator to get on the tram at Hartsfield in Atlanta. The other one is in Concourse E at Reagan National, which is their newest concourse, which handles all of their regional jets, like the flights from Montgomery come into Terminal E. There's a P.F. Chang's right there. At both locations, Barry, that I've dined at a P.F. Chang in an airport, I've had breakfast. And you're thinking, breakfast?
At P.F. Chang's?
At P.F. Chang's? And I believe they only serve breakfast at airport locations. Really good. A little Oriental twist to a breakfast. Try it. I'm telling you, I was impressed.
John, expanding horizons. I know people who won't eat fish at a restaurant because of Airplane, the movie. Dr. Mr. Hammond ate fish, and Randy said there are 5 more cases, and they all had fish too. And the co-pilot had fish. What did the navigator have? He had fish. All right, now we know what we're up against. Every passenger on this plane who had fish for dinner will become violently ill in the next half hour. And that's when they get into where you see Peter Graves, the pilot, in the background. It starts with a slight fever and dryness of the throat. Peter Graves is doing like this. And then when the virus penetrates the red blood cells, the victim becomes dizzy, begins to experience an itchy rash, and he's severe muscle spasms followed by inevitable drooling. At this point, the entire digestive system collapses, accompanied by uncontrollable flatulence. And you see Peter Graves in the background cutting one. It was high comedy out there.
Yes. Is that when Leslie Nielsen's character went back to address the passengers and his nose started growing?
Yeah, there's no cause for alarm. Everything is under control. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They just don't make movies like that. You know, speaking of that, speaking of movies,
when we were making movies like that and paddling delinquent children, that was when American society peaked.
Here's another one.
The
weather was kind of crappy yesterday. You know, not a lot going on, windy, rainy, you know, can't do a lot of stuff outside. A Dirty Harry marathon yesterday afternoon. I'm watching bits and pieces of Dirty Harry, Magnum Force, The Enforcer. The little lady's watching it with me a little bit. She goes, now, what are these? I said, hey, honey, these are movies back in the day. I mean, Dirty Harry would say whatever he wanted to say. He'd shoot whoever he wanted to shoot.
And that cafe was getting held up, and the waitress put salt in his coffee. And the one that says, you know, to make my day, you know, go ahead, punk, make my day. I gots to know, you know, how many bullets kids. We can go off on. We may have to have an entire show during the summer about this, about movie quotes, great motion pictures from the day. 10 before the hour, 10 minutes left on our live show in association with Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Book tee time sooner. Save on every round. That's what you get with the 2025 RTJ Trail Card. Destination golf is closer than you might think. Buy a 2025 Trail Card and save every time you play. Plus, you will be automatically entered into the Trails Loyalty Program. Enjoy 10-day advance reservation privileges at each location. 11-day advanced internet tee times on rtjgolf.com and the RTJ app. Enjoy the benefits of a 2025 Trail Card. It makes for a great stocking stuffer, and you save on every round you play in 2025 on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail.
Don't miss your chance to win big at Victoryland Casino. Play the latest, hottest, most exciting games around with fun bonuses and big jackpots. Don't miss out on your free play. Stop by Player Rewards today and check out this month's exciting free play promotions. Come see why our players keep coming back. You'll have more fun at Victoryland Casino, where you can be a winner too. Victoryland Casino, located off I-85 exit 22, Shorter, Alabama. Must be 21 or older.
Okay, back at it about 8 minutes or so until the top of the hour. Let's get that Victoryland 777 topic wheel loaded up yet again. See if we can get through the wheel today. And as it spins around, where will it stop? Nobody knows. It looks like hole in one.
All right.
I don't know if there were any hole in ones down at Bay Hill this weekend, Arnold Palmer's tournament. But it was a great finish. You know, there were a lot of chip-ins. There were several eagles in the event, but not a hole-in-one. As I saw the tournament yesterday, I was thinking, is a hole-in-one the most difficult accomplishment in sports?
Let's face it. Hole-in-one is almost totally luck. You know, the most difficult thing in sports is to hit a basketball shot from the backcourt, because you've got several more things operating. It's not as long of a shot as a hole-in-one is, but you still have, you know, to arc it in the proper direction. A hole-in-one, you have to have a lot of luck, the lay of the green and everything. Nobody's hitting the tee shot thinking, well, it undulates a little bit, 2 inches to the right, midway across the green. You don't do that. And there's no time element. In golf, I mean, you're aiming, you're addressing it, you're getting your feet right, couple of waggles, and then you go. A half-court shot in basketball is, I mean, spur of the moment, 2 seconds, 1 second. You don't even really have a chance to look, one dribble, and you fling it through the air. A Hail Mary, overrated in its difficulty, John, because you have to have some luck. But if you get it there, you have a guy that can make a play, and he makes the play, that's not luck. Just get it there. Maybe somebody has to make a mistake defensively. That's over it. That's not that terribly hard. You see it seems like all the time. Backcourt shot in basketball, just about the most difficult thing you can do.
Luck. That's lucky. I think professional golfers might disagree with that, but luck or not, is it the most difficult? Whether it's lucky or not, I mean, some people might say
it's the rarest. Yeah, it's the rarest thing to do.
Say a half-court shot is luck. You attempted 100 of them on your own. How many of them would you make? Whatever. But as you see a professional golfer stand up on the tee and he's talking to his caddy and he's looking at his book and the caddy's marked off all this yardage and they know what quadrant of the green they need to hit to get closer to the hole based on the undulation of the greens and this, that, and the other. I believe there is some skill to it. I don't think
there's no doubt.
Golfers think they step up on the tee thinking, I'm making a hole in one here.
And just wail away at it. Yeah, you're right.
But I do think that they put a lot of thought and effort and practice and preparation. And if it goes in, great. But I don't know. I just wondered about that. I'm thinking, what's harder to do than to make a hole in one?
Have you ever done it?
I have. I made a hole in one at Mason-Dixon on the original 18. They've got probably 4, 5, 6 golf courses at Mason-Dixon now. But this
couple
was
of summers I worked at Mason-Dixon when I was in college. You talk about, again, the peak of American civilization. That was awesome. Yes.
I think it was number 7, par 3, obviously. Hit a 9-iron and backed it into the hole. Had a little chi-chi on it, little spinach, and it came back into the hole. Problem is, Barry, I was buying drinks for all of my buddies the rest of the day. If you make a hole in one, then the tab's on you. And boy, did they take advantage of it. You would think they'd be buying me a drink. I had to buy them. It's the other way around, shouldn't it be? But anyway,
everybody's staggering home and
only one I've ever made. I've been playing golf since I was about 8 years old. I know guys that are hackers they've made 3, 4 hole in ones. I'm thinking, what? I mean, skipping it across the pond, hitting a rake in the bunker and ricocheting it toward the green and it goes in. I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me. Oh, can't catch
John's been trying for years.
Yeah.
Just that one.
These guys are bouncing it down the cart path. It goes in. I mean, give me a break. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's spin the wheel again and see what happens here. Spin away it goes and it lands. Ooh, tough call. Tough.
All right. What's the tough call to make here? What's the tough call?
I'm hearing a lot of people on social media and reading it that they're comparing Dick Vitale to Lee Corso. Is, number one, that a fair criticism? And number 2, have we heard enough of Dickie V?
I'm conflicted, just like I was with Corso. I like Dickie V more than Corso, that's for sure. But with Corso, like I said before, I spend time, and I don't usually watch the college game day. And a lot of the reason why I was watching it, I was distracting because I'm rooting for Corso. Come on, Lee. Come on, you can get this. Come on. All right, finish out this sentence. Okay, you got it. All right. Okay, he's done. All right, segment's done. And you're relieved that he made it through, that he didn't just totally lose his train of thought or couldn't speak or whatever like that. It's a terrible thing to have to feel because, I'm really rooting for him. But it's the same thing with Dickie V. His voice is raspy. He's really having to work hard to, get the breath to get it going. And it distracts from the enjoyment of the game. I'm hoping for his sake, and I like him fine, that, they let him do it, let him finish out the year. He's not going to do the NCAA tournament because ESPN doesn't have it, never has. And then he can leave on his own terms, and there you go. There you go. Chris Lamammer says, if you don't want to hear it, just mute. No, I would like to hear something.
Yeah.
I would. I don't want to hear. I don't want to watch the game on mute. I want to hear what the broadcaster has to say. All I'm saying is that it's distracting because I'm really rooting for him, thinking, "Come on, come on now."
Yeah,
instead of watching the game,
he's done several Auburn and Alabama games recently.
Yes.
You know, Carl Ravitch to me is a baseball guy. Every time I hear him and see him,
to me, he's a studio guy.
Yeah, studio.
He doesn't need to be doing play by play at all. I think he's a studio guy.
And then
Dickie
other
rooting for him like him.
The other,
I love Dan Schulman. I love Dan Schulman and Jay Billis. I think they do a great job.
Third guy that was in that group on Saturday.
In that group.
I'm looking at him. I just can't think of his name. I think he's pretty good. But yeah.
Yep. There you go.
I'm kind of with you on Dickie V. Wow. Is it getting close to the top of the hour? Gee whiz. We'll have to hold
already. We're just getting warmed up.
Man,
I'm in Pensacola, Florida. The Sun Belt Conference Tournament Championship tonight. The Troy Trojans go for their second tournament championship. Last one they won was 8 years ago. And they take on Arkansas State tonight, 6 o'clock, ESPN2 on television. And, of course, I'll have the radio call as well. Looking forward to that. It's that time of year, John. Round ball, postseason for a whole lot of schools. Now it gets really, really down to the brass tacks. And I am.
Oh, boy, it sure does. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll be checking that out tonight from Pensacola. And seeing if the Trojans can win the title. All right, tomorrow, as always, Brian Matthews, auburnsports.com at the bottom of the first hour. Travis Ryer on YouTube at the top of hour number 2. So much more we're going to get to tomorrow as well on the program as we get ready for the SEC tournament to kick off on Wednesday in Nashville.
Many thanks to our superfan, Josh Harris, Yellowhammer News, and our producer, Gurin Jr., For John Longshore, I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.